Hello, BookTube. I've got a little mail for you today on a gray, overcast Saturday that just barely lacks the moral conviction to rain. The forecast for Boston has so much rain in it for the next 10 days that I think it's a miracle that it's holding off at all. It's been possible to have dog walks today. It's a muggy kind of day, though, and I am suddenly unaccountably beset with deadline work and with all sorts of other, not all sorts, one other thing, a video conference that someone wants to have with me later today. I did a live stream with Mark at Book Time with Elvis. That was fun. And it was weird to be in a live stream where I'm not just bombarded with comments. But I've got someone wants to do a video conference. I think it's a potential job. Ordinarily, I categorically refuse such things on the weekends. Just wait. We can do it first thing on Monday. But I'm going to try it, and that's looming over you. I don't know how many of you have ever experienced this. When you've got a video conference coming up with a stranger, it looms over you. All of a sudden, it casts a shadow backwards over all the hours that aren't there, and you suddenly feel like, there's no preparation that I can do for this thing. It's just... Anyway, let's look at the mail and see what we have. See, there's a box, so there might be something fun. Let's see what we have for mail on this sticky gray day. Ooh, okay. This is June. This is from the folks at Princeton University Press, and this is a perfect example of what I was talking about just yesterday. I mentioned Book Trek. It's an upcoming BookTube event. It's June, July, and August. We read Star Trek fiction in June, July, and August, all summer long. And one of the away missions, if you don't want to read Star Trek fiction, or why you wouldn't want to, I don't know, but if you don't want to read Star Trek fiction, one of the away missions is to read a work of science. Up until Kurtzman Trek, science was an integral part of Star Trek. And this, I said, I'm not going to make any TBRs for that away mission because the publishing industry is going to provide the books for me. And here you go. This is by Lisa Gardner, and this is The Reefs of Time, What Fossils Reveal About Coral Survival. Sorry, baby, I don't want to block your face. I don't want to block your face. Where's the baby? So this is popular science. I've been reading this anyway. So let's see here. With rising global temperatures, pollution, overfishing, ocean acidification, and other problems caused by humans, there's no question that today's coral reefs are in trouble. As predictions about the future of the ecosystem grow increasingly dire, scientists are looking in an unlikely place for new ways to save corals, the past. The reefs of yesteryear face challenges too, from changing sea level to temperature shifts, and understanding how they survived and when they faltered can help guide our efforts to help ensure a future for reefs. Spoiler, coral reefs are doomed. But you can look at their past because they are themselves an elaborate record of their own past. So this author weaves together the latest cutting-edge science with stories of her expeditions to tropical locales to show how fossils and other reef remains offer tantalizing glimpses of how coral persists through time. Okay, this comes out in June, so it's perfectly timed for June on the Range. Or not June on the Range, for Book Trek. It'll be one of my science books. There'll be plenty of others. Let me do this next one here. This is a nice heavy paperback, manila envelope here. This could easily have been in a box if somebody had been unimaginative. Let's see what we have here. Oh, oh my. Okay. All right. Well, this is Steve's favorite thing. This is a gigantic biography. This is a 700-page biography that comes out in October of the author Peter Mathiasson. This is called True Nature. There you go. The Pilgrimage of Peter Mathiasson. So I don't have a sheet for this, but we'll just read the back of it here. This is the first biography of Peter Mathiasson, who was described as a novelist, naturalist, and Zen Roshi. Okay, so the author, or rather the subject, Mathiasson lived from 1925 to 2014. A towering figure in 20th century American letters, achieved so much during his lifetime in so many different areas that people have struggled to pin him down. While ambivalent about his WASP privilege, as a teenager he demanded that his name be removed from the New York Social Register, he attended Yale and cut his teeth in post-war Paris, co-founding the Paris Review as he worked undercover for the CIA. But then, after a rebellious stint as a Long Island fisherman, he escaped into a series of wild expeditions, floating through the Amazon to recover a prehistoric fossil, embedding with an uncontacted tribe in in Netherlands, New Guinea, swimming with sharks off the coast of Australia. His novels, inspired by his travels, were unclassifiable meditations about Cayman turtle hunters and frontier outlaws in the Florida Everglades. They're not unclassifiable. They're just novels. They're not. You just classified them yourself. Meanwhile, his nonfiction became legendary. Nature books like Wildlife in America, or his book on the snow leopard, or Blue Meridian. That they're not mentioned here, but they're alluded to earlier there. As well as advocacy journalism supporting Cesar Chavez, Leonard Peltier, and Native American land claims. Underlying all Mathiassen's disparate pursuits was the same existential search to find a cure for, quote, deep restlessness. This search was most profoundly articulated in The Snow Leopard, his famous account of a 250-mile wildlife survey across the Himalayas. In True Nature, this book, the author reconstructs the full scope of a spiritual quest that ultimately led Mathiassen, even as he inflicted great pain on his family, to the highest ranks of Zen. Drawing on rich primary sources and hundreds of interviews, Richardson depicts Mathiassen's life with page-turning immediacy, while also illuminating how the writer's uncanny gifts enabled him to sense connections between ecological decline, racism, and labor exploitation, to express eloquently and presciently that, quote, in a damaged human habitat, all problems merge. Okay. All right. Well, great. A great big biography of an author I really like. The author was, I should point out, a loon, if you didn't get that from the description already. And also the implication of the cover copy on the back there, that once you're a plant for the CIA, you can then leave that job and maybe become a tramp fisherman. Now, you don't ever leave that job. But this is an author who wrote two great books, two great novels. And it's not given to many writers to do that. He wrote At Play in the Fields of the Lord, and he wrote the great Far Tortuga. And a first biography, fine by me. I wonder what kind of coverage this will get. I'm trying to think what kind of coverage this will get. Naturally, I prefer the man's nonfiction to his fiction, although his nonfiction has an annoying tendency of having the star player not show up, ever, or barely ever. I mean, Blue Meridian is about a hunt for a great white shark. The Snow Leopard is about a hunt for a snow leopard. I've read everything this author's written, and I tend predictably to like the nonfiction a lot, although those two novels, are amazing. I don't like the Everglades novels as much as some people do. To me, they seem pretty meandering. But At Play in the Fields of the Lord, and especially Far Tortuga, are masterpieces. And so I happily read about it, but I will read it, of course, but I wonder what kind of reaction it will get. I'll have to start asking around. It's a very unusual literary biography because the guy wasn't only literary. But anyway, then we have the box, which is heavy. Could be more than one book in here. I don't know what it would be. Let's see. Yeah, there's more than one thing in here. On earth. I don't have a pub sheet. I just have an invoice. What have we got here? Okay. Oh, these are both from Osprey. Oh, great. I think I requested these. Well, fine. I didn't know they'd come together. They don't have pub sheets in them. Oh, this is lovely. Look at that. All right, this first one is by Michael Napier, and this is Over Cold War Seas, NATO and Soviet Naval Aviation, 1949 to 1989. And it's a larger thing. It's a larger hardcover. And that's because it's full of artwork. It's full of illustrations of all the various aircraft involved. Fantastic. Okay, well, this is a subject I followed it, but I don't know it that well. Let's see what we got here. In 1949, an Iron Curtain was drawn across Europe, and the Cold War that ensued between the Western countries and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, and the Soviet-dominated Warsaw Pact lasted until the Berlin Wall fell in 1989. During those 4 decades, NATO and Soviet naval forces patrolled the world's oceans. The powerful forces of the U.S. Navy's Second Fleet guarded the North Atlantic, while the Sixth Fleet covered the Mediterranean. In 1955, the commissioning of the USS Forrestal marked the start of an age of the supercarrier. And the Soviet Union's first aircraft carrier, the Kiev, entered service in 1975. In this book, ex-RAF pilot and respected aviation author Michael Napier examines the development of the naval and maritime air power of the major combatant forces from 1949 to 1989. Wow. Oh, boy. Fantastic. Okay, well, of course, I mean, this is so beautifully illustrated, but nevertheless, it's going to come down to the prose. Fantastic. I don't have a book on this subject. Great. And what was this other one? Oh, aren't you good looking? Good Lord. Well, I wasn't expecting this at all. No offense to the people at Osprey Press, but how nice. Okay, I don't have a date on these things, but this is by Richard Hargreaves, and this is called Opening the Gates of Hell, and it's about Operation Barbarossa, which has come up on this channel a couple of times. That looks really good. So who is Michael Hargreaves and Richard Hargreaves when he's at home? He's been a journalist for 30 years, 10 of them in regional newspapers. Man after my own heart. Since 2000, he has almost exclusively covered the Royal Navy and naval affairs, and was an official UK war correspondent in Iraq in 2003. I wonder if he wrote about that. Obviously he was a war correspondent, he wrote about it, but I wonder if he made a book out of it. He currently works for the Royal Navy as a press officer, writer, and sub-editor of its monthly magazine, Navy News. He's had 3 books published to date. In 2006, he published a book called Germans in Normandy. In 2008, he published a book called Blitzkrieg Unleashed. And in 2011, he published a book called Hitler's Final Fortress. So he has not written about Iraq. He writes about World War II. And here, he's got a hell of a subject. Let's see what we have here. Drawing on over a decade of meticulous research across European archives and former battlefields, this book provides an unflinching examination of the harrowing first weeks of Operation Barbarossa. This sobering study traces the beginnings of the campaign, describing rapid panzer advances alongside the unyielding Soviet defenses at locations including the Brest Fortress. I wonder if he's going to write a sequel. I wonder if he'll write a follow-up. Simultaneously, it explores the calculated racial and ideological brutality that made the invasion such a horrifying chapter of modern warfare. The systematic executions of political officers and Jews, coupled with state-sanctioned massacre on both sides, are laid bare, revealing a landscape where mass murder was entwined with battlefield victories. That's wonderfully done. Letters, diaries, and military records give insight into the conflicting emotions of soldiers and civilians alike, some clinging to heroism, others succumbing to primal hatred. This masterful new history stands as both a testament to the resilience of those swept up in Barbarossa and a grim reminder of the capacity for human cruelty in pursuit of power and ideology. Boy, wouldn't it be great if we did a trilogy on this? That would be wonderful. So what have we got here? We've got an inset of pictures, just the standard black and white pictures, including some that are rather brutal. Okay, that's good. It's worthwhile to remember that. Burning farmsteads, that's the usual picture of Barbarossa. Oh, my. Some of these pictures I will not show you. That is daring in its own right. Good for you. Good for you. Okay, well, just recently on this channel, I got a paperback of the standard work on Barbarossa, and this is not that. This is not even meaning to be that. This is just the beginning of the campaign, not the whole of it. Okay, so I need to find the date on these, but so we got military history, of course, which makes Steve happy, the Cold War and the Second World War. We got a great big biography, which makes Steve happy. I wouldn't have seen this subject coming, but I'm all for it. And we got some nature writing about the history of coral reefs and how to save them, which would be interesting for the history part. They cannot be saved. The oceans have already passed the tipping point. So that's not, they're all going to die. And maybe down deep inside them, there are, I don't know, seed beds or permanent parts or really hardy extremophiles that can live until the climate changes. But the climate is not going to change back for 20,000 years. So if in corals show layers of growth over the millennia that they've been around, and if that's true in this case, it's going to be a very long interval. But anyway, in terms of subject matter, you couldn't do better for some Saturday Mail. So Steve is pleased. I don't know the Reefs of Time thing. I don't need to get to right away because it's June. I don't know the dates on the 2 military things, but I think I will pop down the Barbarossa book tonight. Anyway, regardless of its date. So there you go. There's some mail for you. So I'll wrap this up, and I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.